Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel 5 to 9 Real Estate. I'm your host, Rebecca Young. For those of you who haven't been to the channel before, basically we are a group of 9 to 5 professionals that are very busy during our 9 to 5s, but still find the time to invest in our 5 to 9s while deploying the proper systems and strategies. So basically this channel is just sharing our knowledge and our experience from the last 10 years with the channel, and we like to answer questions along the way as well. So if this is the kind of content that you would like to see more of, please support us by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, leave us some comments down below in terms of other future content that you'd like to see. That would be fantastic. So today's topic is actually going to be house hacking. So it's been a really interesting journey in real estate for me because I was doing a lot of this stuff before we actually started coining these terms or putting labels on these strategies. But yeah, I've been house hacking right from the get-go. And frankly, it's been honestly probably the best way that we've been able to save money and keep putting our money into investments to keep growing our wealth. I'm actually going to be covering off an example of our journey in terms of the different properties that we've lived in for your benefit to really understand how this works. For starters, house hacking is very simply when you live in your investment property as well. So I am seeing more of this because we do have a housing supply issue here, and obviously real estate is very expensive. So I'm finding more and more that people are renting out portions of their personal home as well so that they can take advantage of tax write-offs and earn a little bit of extra income, help support their monthly mortgage payments as well. So very often it is, a single family home that has, either it's been, you put in a secondary suite in the basement, or, it could be a legal duplex as well. That was essentially the model that I started off with when I first started investing. I was still a student in school, and I lived in a student rental. I rented a room and kind of pieced together that, if I lived in a house that I owned, but then also rented all the bedrooms, that would be a great way to, make money on the place I was living in. And at the time when I bought my first property, I ended up just renting out the basement instead. But because of this, it still covered a good chunk of my monthly mortgage costs and all the property costs. So I figured out that if I could keep doing that for each of my properties, then it was a good way to make the housing market more affordable. So from that, I'm actually going to hop over to my computer to actually walk you through each of my scenarios. And I hope that, it shows you how valuable this strategy can be. Honestly, I know it's not for everyone. I do get people reaching out to me and saying that, maybe they're in a relationship and their partner isn't as interested in that. Hopefully, maybe you can show them this video and see what they think. I'll show some pictures of our personal home now. I mean, I'm in my personal home. You guys can see, we've got exposed brick on the walls, right? We're very happy. We're very content here, and we love the location where we are in Toronto. It's not that, I don't think we're suffering at all from doing house hacking, and I don't really see us changing our strategy, to be honest. I don't really, even if I needed a bigger space, I think the goal for us would be to buy an apartment building that we can live in and just create our own unit or something, it's a great strategy. And I hope that helps you in your situation as well. But also just, be respectful to your partners, make sure that everyone's on the same page before moving forward with strategies, because otherwise that can come back and bite you later on. With that, I'm gonna just hop over to these examples. So as I mentioned before, house hacking is basically when you live in a property that has multiple units and you're basically also living in your investment property as your primary residence. So I've got a picture here of a property. Like I said, usually the most common scenario that I see is people live in a single detached home and they have a basement suite, but maybe they have a laneway house, or there's garden suites now. Other ways for you to generate some income from your property as well. Or, I've even seen some people Airbnb while they're out of town, just any way to find a way to make income off your property as well. And honestly, that's our ultimate goal, to increase our passive income as much as possible and to decrease our expenses. It's really not about the money, it's not the dollars and cents, but it buys you freedom, right? That you're able to you're able to work in a job that you want. You're able to work the hours that you want. You want to travel the world, you can go and do that because you still have a way of making money. It's, at the end of the day, it's really about chasing that freedom and being able to decrease your expenses in your personal home by finding a way to make money off of it is a great way to do that. And so in this example, I chose a picture of a really beautiful home that if, let's say you owned this entire building, I mean, this is just an insane amount of space. So this looks like an apartment building to me, just a really fancy one. But let's say that each of these floors could be a place that you rent out, and maybe you live on the penthouse where you've got really, really tall ceilings, or maybe there's 2 floors up here. But if you do this right, you can seriously decrease your monthly expenses or potentially live for free. So basically, I just want to walk you through each of the properties that I've lived in as my primary residence and why this has been such a powerful strategy for me. So the very first property that I lived in was a starter home in Stony Creek, and we purchased it for $251,000. And back then I did have some ugly financing on the property because I was still a student. Funny enough, I actually had a good down payment and I had good credit, but my problem in that case was that I didn't have the kind of income that the lenders typically want. So typically they want T4 income with a good base salary because that's really easy for them to qualify you off of. In this particular case, I did a lot of contract work while I was in school in terms of I was doing research, I was a teaching assistant, I also worked in restaurants, and I also worked in background acting as well. So a lot of jobs that are considered to be inconsistent. So that was a tough sell to the bank. So for my very first mortgage, I had to go with a B lender with a higher rate, and actually 2 mortgages, but I'll cover that in another story for another day. The point being is that it was ugly financing. So this might be a little bit higher than what you would expect for a property this purchase price, but I'm just going to walk you through basically all the expenses of the property and the rent that I was making at the time, and basically what the net expenses were for the property. So in this particular case, for this first property, got a mortgage with a company called MCAP, and it's a B lender. The mortgage that they gave me, so this would have been including both mortgages, but it was $1,279.67 per month. Then the hydro costs were with Horizon Utilities, and those monthly costs were $173.75 per month. Then there was also Union Gas going to the house, and that monthly expense was $43.74. And then home insurance as well through TD was $95.58. So that brings us to a total monthly expense of $1,592.74. And if I was just living in this house myself, then that would be the monthly cost. But in this particular case, I actually had a basement that could be rented out, and I was getting $950 for the basement. At the time, it was actually, it was 2 bedrooms down there that were rented out to students. And so that was the going market rate at the time. So, I mean, this is actually, you can see that this is an insane deal. Like, I get to own the house, and my monthly costs were only $642.74 per month. So you can start to see that I actually paired this with a BRRRR strategy because I fixed up the basement so that it could be rented at this rate. And I also fixed up the upstairs where I redid the stairs and I did painting inside the house. I cleaned it up. So because of this, I actually brought up the value of the property, and this resulted in a higher appraisal a year after I got this mortgage. So I was able to decrease this monthly expense a year after, and then also increase the rent. So it brought this down actually even lower. But the reason why I mention this is because it's actually both strategies in one, because I was able to take more money back out of the property from the refinance and then also lower my monthly expenses. So this provides a situation where you're able to take this extra money to put it into another property because you have better income ratios and you qualify for more in the bank. So you can start to see that this is actually the way that we've been able to build wealth over time because of decreasing expenses continuously and then getting more properties that decrease our expenses or generate more income. And it's a revolving thing. It takes time to do this. It's been 10 years for us, but it's been a phenomenal way, to slow and steady way to build wealth. And I would recommend this to anybody. And this is what we're still doing today because this has worked for us in the past. So based off of this, then I was looking at getting a second property. And for this one, it was, it wasn't the starter home. It was the next kind of step, so to speak. So this particular one was around 2,500 square feet, double door garage, 4-bedroom home. It wasn't quite a new build. It was a newly built community, but I bought it from the previous owners that actually bought from the builder. So very low repairs and maintenance required. It was, at the time I was really, really excited about this property. So for our second property, the mortgage was through a company called AWCCU, or Auto Workers Community Credit Union. They're still around and they still have the mortgage. They're now called Pathwise. And that monthly cost was $2,414.42. The property taxes on the property were $341.27. And again, the property's hydro bills were through Horizon Utilities, and that was $231. Reliance, that was the water heater rental with the property. That was $60 per month, and Union Gas was $50 per month. And now TD Insurance. I still had the other property, so with these two properties, it was actually together, it was double this cost, so I just halved it for this particular property, but that monthly cost was $74.47. So that brought the total monthly expenses of this property to $3,071.16 per month. And the rent that did the same thing, where in this particular case, we actually finished off the basement ourselves, and the rent received from this property was $1,195. And so our total net monthly expenses were actually $1,876.16 per month. So as you're starting to probably see a trend here that obviously it's worth it to rent a portion of your home. There's also a lot of, great tax write-offs, and it's like I said, I can't say this enough, that it's been an incredible way to build wealth over time. And so the third example is something I'm really excited to share with you guys, because I'm going to show you how we purchased a property for $1,328,000, but only pay $2,400 in monthly expenses for it. So again, we're still doing the same thing, where in this particular case, we are in a semi-detached property, but we already bought it as a duplex, and honestly, there wasn't a whole lot that we had to do with it. So we're pretty lucky in that regard. I do believe that we bought it under market value, so that was already a lot of baked-in equity. We did have to also replace the flat roof, which was a bigger cost, and I did a video that I'll reference as well of interviewing my flat roofer so that you can understand the difference, because I haven't really seen those types of roofs until getting to Toronto. So just so you can have an idea of what you're getting into if you're looking at a flat roof. But the point being is that it's been, it's still the same thing, where we have a great amount of space. It's perfect for the two of us, but we don't need all the space of the entire house. So it's been a great way to offset some of our monthly expenses by house hacking. So in this particular case, we actually have a mortgage through an A lender, Scotiabank. And basically our monthly mortgage costs are $4,602.28. Our property taxes are $521 per month. Toronto Hydro is our hydro supplier here, and our monthly expenses are $163 per month. And our monthly gas payment is $442 per month and 51 cents. That, I know that seems really high. It's also because we have a furnace rental and a hot water tank rental for our boiler system that supplies our radiators with heat. And then we also have TD Insurance with, it is across a few different properties. So in this case, our monthly cost for this particular property is $78.79 per month. So that brings our total monthly expenses to $5,707.58. And that means that if you were to buy that type of property in Toronto at that time, that's what your monthly cost would be, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, I don't know too many people that can comfortably afford that. And, we did qualify for this property based on our own income and based on being able to just pay that. But that's insane, because all of your money is only going to be going into paying down the mortgage, which is great. But then, what about enjoying the city, or, any travel costs, or, if you wanted to put your savings into other things like the financial markets and start saving towards your retirement, how can you realistically do that? So for us, this is why we decided that, hey, we don't need to live in a 3-story semi-detached home. We are very comfortable with the space that we have here. And we are probably, with the new finished basement, we're probably at about 1,000 square feet, which is fine for us because we don't have kids, we just have 2 cats. But it's just something that, this is the biggest reason why. So when I first started, a lot of people kind of stuck up their nose and thought, well, do you really need to have people, like strangers, living in your home? I'm personally fine with it because I don't need all that extra space, and it's been the best way for us to build up our portfolio outside of the birds that we deploy outside of our personal investing and our personal primary residence. So I hope that this helps. It's a very transparent outlook of what we've done for ourselves and what's worked for us. I hope that helps, you understand what house hacking is and if it's right for you, or at least starts the conversation. And from there, guys, I really appreciate your time as always. Again, if you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to our channel, or leave any comments down below letting us know what you liked about the video or any ideas for future topics, and that would be much appreciated. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.